All right, so to upgrade our fish and chips, we need to upgrade them to the next level by adding something that you probably have never thought about putting into fish and chips, and it'll take it to that gourmet level that you really want, and it's simple. We are gonna add a poblano pepper puree. Now, this is gonna be easy. Trust me, I'm gonna take you every step of the way throughout this process. We are gonna do this together. This is something that I've been wanting to test out, and I feel like it is gonna take fish and chips to that next level that we're always looking for. So let's go ahead and we will look at the ingredients now.
Here's all of our ingredients, so glorious in their nature. So of course we've got fish, we've got potatoes, we've got lemons, we've got poblanos, peanut oil, a beer, which is a Guinness by the way, paprika powder, garlic powder, kosher salt, and a lot of other things. But we're gonna move on to the recipe now, which we need to start with the poblano peppers. We're gonna go ahead and put those on some high heat. So I'm just putting them right on my burner here just to char them up really good. And then I'm going to give them a nice ice bath. And that's really essential in this process so that I can get off the skin, because some people go, oh, the skin is icky and it makes it taste too bitter, which yeah, that can happen sometimes. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and start moving on to the skin portion. So we're going to go ahead and just cut off the top there and then take away the seeds. Usually I don't like taking away the seeds, but today I am, because I want to make this somewhat of a puree. And so with my knife, I'm just scraping off all of those charred remains that a lot of people like to remove. And I get it. Sometimes it can be very bitter and sometimes it's necessary. Have you ever had a roasted salsa? Just saying. All right. So then we're going to go ahead and take our blended poblanos, pour them into a bowl, and then I'm going to add about 2 to 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm going to give this a good mix. It's okay if it has a little bit of a green tint to it. It's perfectly fine. You got poblanos in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and follow up with some Guinness. So this is going to be about half a tall boy of Guinness, maybe a little bit more than that. I usually go a little bit heavier on the beer when it comes to a beer batter, but just mix it as you go and just make sure it's where you want it. It's your recipe. Feel empowered. So I'm going to give that a quick whisk. And then I'm going to come in with some black pepper. It's going to be fresh ground black pepper, okay? It's really crucial to use fresh ground black pepper and not the pre-ground pepper. There's more oils in fresh ground pepper, which makes the dish more rich. And then that's pretty much our batter. I'm going to add maybe some kosher salt, about a tablespoon, and we're ready to keep going. Okay, so I want to go ahead and start the tartar sauce. So I'm adding about half a cup of Kewpie mayo here. You can use whatever kind of mayo you want. And then I'm going to juice 1 lime here. And of course, I forgot my juicer, so I misplaced it somewhere and I've got a seed in there, but that's okay. I can fish that out. And then I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of fresh ground pepper, and the same for some kosher salt after I remove that seed. And so I'm going to go ahead and add in that kosher salt now. And then I'm going to slice up some pickles. I'm using baby dill pickles, and it's about 1 to 2. I don't want it too tangy, but you definitely want those pickles in there to give it that tartar sauce feel. And of course, fresh dill. My grocery store was out of fresh dill this day, and I was like, are you serious? And I eventually ended up finding some and adding it later on. Sorry, it didn't make it to the video. But you definitely want that fresh dill if you can. The dill pickles do help though with that flavor either way, but a little bit of fresh dill is a nice touch. And then finally, if I like where it's going, I'm going to start adding the Dijon mustard, and that's going to be about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard to a tablespoon and a half, and give that a quick mix, and we're done there. We're ready to move on to our French fries. So I've got Idaho potatoes here, russet potatoes, whatever you want to call them. And I've got about 8 of these, and I want to remove all the nasty spots, so all those little fungusy dark spots that you see there. And I'm going to make these into about, I would say, 1/4 inch wide slices. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it lengthwise, of course, and then drop it into a pot. So I've got a Dutch oven here, and I'm using peanut oil. Peanut oil is honestly my favorite to use. If you like In-N-Out Burger a lot, they always use peanut butter for their French fries. I worked there when I was really young, going through college for a couple years, and so it's a habit for me to always use peanut oil. So we want to go ahead and heat that up, about medium heat, and then we're going to go ahead and drop in our French fries and give those a good cook. And I like to start these ahead of time because the fish I have found it takes much faster to make the fish than the fries, and I can always pop my oven on warm and just store them in there. But there we go. They're starting to get there. They're almost perfect. They're going to be golden brown very soon. All right, the best part, the one part of it all when people start picking out of the meal constantly before it's even fully made, which is when the French fries are ready. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer them to a bowl, salt them heavily with some kosher salt. And I don't mean like a crazy ton of salt. This is maybe like 2 to 3 tablespoons max to taste, of course. And then I'm using kosher salt, by the way, but then I'm going to add in some garlic, and I've got about 4 garlic cloves I've chopped up and I've thrown in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start adding the rest of our ingredients, which is some parsley, give that a quick mix, and then some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. It is much better than if you go get the pre-sliced one at the store. This is going to be much more fine, and it's going to be really good for your French fries, so I can't stress it enough. If you can't swing this one, it's perfectly okay to use some Parmesan cheese that's already grounded into that powder that we all love to put on our pizza. That's perfectly fine to use as well. This really hits hard. Now for our cod. So that's the type of fish I use every time for fish and chips. And I've got about 2 to 3 pounds of cod that I'm going to go ahead and slice up. I want them to be around 4 to 5 inches long for each serving before I'm going to fry them, of course. So I'm cutting them into about 4 to 5 inch strips, and then I'm going to go ahead and toss them in that batter and then fry them. Now for our dredging process. So in some flour, I'm going to toss the cod, and then I'm going to put it into our dredge that we made earlier with the poblano peppers. And then I'm going to take them out, and you can introduce them to the flour at this point if you want to. It's perfectly fine before you actually put them into the fryer. And I am using peanut oil for the oil that I'm using in the fryer, and I'm putting this around medium to high heat. I'll have everything below in the description for the full recipe and how hot everything was during the process. And we are done. So we've got everything right here. So yeah, let's go ahead and try it out.
All right, so now we're done, and I'm really excited about this. This is taking not too long. I'm very excited. So here's the dish. So here we are, and I'm gonna go ahead and start trying this out. So try it without anything in it. That poblano, the poblano puree made the difference. This is so damn good. This is so good. I'm gonna try it with a little bit of our tartar sauce. Wow. It's dropping off. I gotta clean that up, but this is insane. This is so good. This is a really good recipe. So don't forget to gotta wipe my mouth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you and what other recipes you have in mind or whatever. We'll try to make it. But this fish and chips right here. This is it. This is a really tasty fish and chips. I have not had fish and chips like this ever.